Hey guys, it's DNC Productions in a place to be. So, this is going to be the first story time ever on this channel. So, this story time, as you've probably seen in the title below, is going to be about my labour experience. So, as you guys know, I had a baby not long ago, and I didn't really get to, film my labour experience because everything happened just so quickly, from the point of me leaving my house to get to the hospital and obviously having my daughter, that I didn't get to get any footage of what my labour was like, the whole process, what happened, from start to finish. So, the best I can give you guys is a story time about my labour experience. So, to get started, how it all went down. So, it started one day. Basically, I was at home, chilling, as you do. And basically what happened was, I started to get some pains. I would say maybe like around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I was a bit unsure, because I had quite a lot of uncomfortability, as you seem to get quite a lot of that towards the end of the pregnancy, and I had quite a lot of that already that I was dealing with, so like aches and pains, just feeling really big, just finding it hard to walk, finding it hard to sleep. I was just very uncomfortable and I had a lot of aches and pains going on. But on this particular day, like I said, at 2 o'clock, I would say roughly about that time, I started to get more uncomfortable. I got pains, but the pains weren't consistent like your labour pains, which are normally, like contraction pains, which can, vary, in time, when it starts. Obviously, as you get more and more into the labour, as the labour progresses, your contractions get, quicker, they get closer, and, they get more intense, and they come very frequently. So anyway, at this point, around 2 o'clock when they started, I was getting pains, but they weren't really coming that frequent. They were like, maybe I'd have like a pain like a half an hour there, maybe like, and then an hour later, they would have come back down to 20 minutes. It was very infrequent. So with that being said, it kind of made me a bit unsure about, was this it? Was this the day? Was she gonna be here today? Was this the time? I mean, I just really wasn't sure. So I thought, you know what, best thing I'll do instead, because I started getting a bit nervous, panicky. I thought, what I'll do is I'll lie down, rest for a bit, and then see how I feel. So I did that. I lay down, tried to have some food. Really couldn't eat too much because again, like I said, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable. So I just thought, just lay down for a bit. I got up. And then those pains that I was getting that were very infrequent, went. They didn't come back, not straight away anyway. So a few hours later, the pains started to come back, again, they weren't frequent. So I was just like, okay, maybe this is just, my body's way of preparing, getting ready, gearing up for labour, whatnot. So I kind of, just overlooked it and got on with my day. Anyway, came down to the evening, I would say, by this time it was probably around, probably like around 7ish or so. Between 6 and 7, the pains carried on. But they were more like half an hour in between. So at this point I was thinking, okay, maybe this could actually be something, because the contractions were like half an hour apart, but they weren't close enough for me to be like, okay, cool, let me start making my way to the hospital. So what happened is, again, lay down, just resting myself, because like I said, I'm just very uncomfortable at this point in my pregnancy. I'm just trying to find any way just to try and make myself feel comfortable, finding any comfortable positions I possibly can, just to rest. Anyway, got to about, I would say, probably around 9ish, around that time. At that point, I started feeling like, I don't know, what's going on. So I got up, I started, just pacing around my room, walking up and down, around. As I started to walk up and down, would you believe, lo and behold, the contractions started to get more and more frequent. It started to get more and more closer. So they now started going from every half an hour to they were like every 10 minutes. So obviously this is past 9 o'clock at this time now. Every 10 minutes the pains are coming. I'm still pacing up and down, walking up and down, just trying to calm my nerves and whatnot. It got to the point now where the contractions were ranging from 3 to 4 to 5 minutes apart. So at this point I thought, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's time to go. At this point, called the cab. The cab was here literally in a matter of a few minutes. I went outside, I thought I'll go outside, get some fresh air while I'm waiting for the cab. Took literally a few minutes, called the Uber. The guy pulled up on my street, got in the cab. The contractions were getting stronger at this point now when I'm in the cab. I'm thinking to myself, I hope I'm not gonna, give birth to my child, in this man's cab. But whatever. So the contractions are every 2 to 3 minutes at this point now. The hospital from where I am in the Uber is about half an hour away. And bearing in mind that it was at night time now, so traffic has calmed down. I don't have to worry about being stuck in traffic. It's pretty much a straightforward journey from my house to the hospital. So anyway, the pains are coming, I'm just trying to deal with the pains, whatnot. I'm just kind of in my own zone at this point in the cab. Got to the hospital anyway. Got to the first floor, about to go into the section where I need to get into, where basically you have to go into this part of the hospital basically where you go in, you admit yourself, so to speak, you let them know that you're in labour, they kind of ask you questions, they get you to do a urine test, how far apart your contractions, whatnot. So obviously by this point they got all this information. I went and did a urine test. The woman was even asking me, do you think you will be able to go and pass urine? At this point I was in a lot of pain, but I thought, you know what I can do, I can go and pass urine. Went to the toilet, went to go and pass urine, came out, they took me into the room, where basically in this room what they generally do is that they check you over, they check your bump, see how far down your baby is inside your pelvis. Then obviously after that, normally, and I say the word normally because we didn't get to this point. So normally, once they check your belly, which the midwife did, and she was like, oh, your baby's quite low. The next step was to check me internally to see, because basically what's supposed to happen is, your cervix is supposed to dilate. And obviously they need to check, how far dilated you are. So they know how far along into your labour you are. So we didn't get to that point with me though. So the woman had basically just checked over my belly and she was like, oh, the midwife, she was like, oh, your baby's quite low. At this point, so she was like, okay, well, take off your trousers and we'll do an internal check. Okay, so I take off my trousers. We didn't even get to do the internal check. She didn't even get to find out and see how far dilated I was. Before I even knew it, at this point, everything just happened really quickly. Really, really quickly. Because from the point of me taking off my trousers, I remember just getting one big pain in my back. So this is what they call labouring in your back or back labour pains. So I labour in my back. I got one big pain in my back and oh my gosh, when I say it, is I was sitting on the chair at this point like this, holding on, just woosah, just trying to just deal with the contractions. But this particular contraction that came, boy, did it just take me really at this point I was just like, ooh, just really just feeling the pain. From the point of that pain that I had that was really bad, everything happened from 0 to 10 real quick. The pain happened and immediately as soon as the pain happened, I felt instantly the urge to push. Really strongly felt the urge to push. Now this point where I'm at is not the labour ward. It's just the floor where they just basically check you over just to make sure that actually you are in labor. You know, labor is, you know, is established. You're really in it, and from that point, obviously, when they've confirmed that with you, from checking you internally to checking your belly, all of that, then they take you to the labor ward so that you can go on to have your baby. I didn't make it to the labor ward, not to have my baby anyway, because from the point where I felt that big pain, I immediately felt the urge to push. Now at this point, the midwife said to me, she's telling me don't push, because she's hearing me pushing. She's like, please don't push. It's not safe for you to push here. You can't have your baby here. This is not the right ward, whatnot. But there was nothing that I could do. Literally, like, my body had just taken over and, you know, just went into its own mode, doing what I needed to do in order to deliver my child. So at this point, I'm trying my best. I'm breathing. I'm doing all the breathing exercises that I've learned. I'm trying my utmost best not to push at all. But I couldn't help it. As much as I'm trying not to push, I could actively feel my body pushing my baby to be born. Obviously at this point, she's there telling me not to push. Another midwife has come in. At this point, from what I could remember, I've probably got like about 4 or 5 different midwives around me telling me not to push. But again, there's nothing I could do. It was out of my control at this point. So I was kind of like, funny enough, I was kind of like, you know, crotched up, you know, on the bed that they have there, like, you know, where they check you over and everything. And at this point, I'm just pushing. There's nothing I can do. And as I'm pushing, I'm feeling her coming down the birth canal, and I kind of felt like any second she was going to be here, literally. As I'm pushing, I feel her halfway hanging out. Do you know what I mean? In the day, and it's so funny because none of the midwives that were in the room even noticed that she was already halfway out, as they're still sitting there telling me not to push. My person who I had with me at that point, she was like, oh, I can see the baby's head. The baby's halfway out. So it took for her to notice. You know, thank God she was there and she had noticed that, you know, my daughter's out. You know what I mean? In the end day. Because if it wasn't for that, she could have come all the way out. There would have been none the wiser, even though there was 4 or 5 midwives in the room. God forbid, thank God, she could have dropped on the floor. Do you know what I mean? But she didn't. As soon as she said, oh, I can see her, she's out, basically, the midwives all turned their attention from telling me, don't push, to, oh, baby's here, baby's coming, you know, kind of thing, whatever. So obviously, they dealt with her. You know, she was, you know, literally the next push, she was out, she was born. They got her, you know, they cleaned her up. You know, obviously at that point, you know, they cut the cord, whatnot, wrapped her up in a towel, whatnot. And at this point, the next point, because obviously I, at this point, was suffering with high blood pressure issues. So with that, the next step, obviously, because my blood pressure at this point, when they had checked it, because they had the thing on my arm checking my blood pressure was quite high at this point. And they didn't know if it was the fact that because I had such a quick delivery, you know, such a quick labor of my child that caused my blood pressure to go up, or if it was generally my blood pressure that was actually going up. So the next thing from then on was to quickly, you know, put me in the chair, you know, with the umbilical cord, you know, hanging out, basically clamped. You know, one of the midwives had my baby in their arms. I was in the wheelchair, you know, and they were rushing me upstairs to the next floor, to the labour ward, you know, to obviously have me settled with my baby so that they could monitor my blood pressure. But like I said, everything happened so quick that I didn't even get any footage, or was able to even get any footage of the labour to put on the channel for you guys to see what my labour experience is like leading up to giving birth to my daughter, which was a shame. I was actually looking forward to getting that footage, but unfortunately couldn't get that footage, and you know, it happened the way it did. But you know, I'm so happy, you know, I just feel really blessed to have my daughter. I'm so happy, I'm so thankful to God that everything went well. She's healthy, I'm healthy, you know, even though everything happened so quickly, you know, everything went well. Everything really went well, you know, and obviously, you know, after that, you know, and being in hospital and recovering, you know, and having time where I could just, you know, it was just me and her, I could bond, get to know each other. I just feel, I just fell in love. That's the truth of the matter. I fell in love with my daughter, and I'm so happy, and I'm so truly blessed, and I'm so thankful to God, you know, that she's here and everything went well. But yeah, even though I couldn't get no label footage for you guys, I'm just so happy, you know, and I'm just so overwhelmed with love for her, you know. I can't even put it into words, but I just love her so much, and I'm just so happy, and I'm so happy to be a mother. I love being a mum. It is just such a real blessing. It's probably the best thing that any woman that goes through it will ever experience in their life. And yes, labour's painful, you know. It's part of what you have to go through in order to obviously have your child, give birth to your child, unborn child, you know, just preparing, getting ready, you know, growing, everything that needs to be done for your child, you know, to grow and fully develop to that point of 9 months pregnancy, and then to have your baby, you know, once you've given birth to your child, and hold your child in your arms. And it is a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful, overwhelming experience. I cried, I'm not gonna lie, legit tears, you know, came out when she was born, because I was just so overwhelmed and happy to have her here, to meet her for the first time. It is the best experience to go through, I have to say, for sure. I didn't typically start vlogging my pregnancy until I was like about 28 weeks, due to the fact that, you know, I've had some complications in my past, which I wasn't ready to start vlogging, you know, my pregnancy. That will probably, you know, a video for another day, you know, another time, you know, where I had lost a previous pregnancy, and in this pregnancy I had bleedings, you know, in the early part, the first trimester part of my pregnancy, which really had me worried, you know, because it was how it happened the last time. So I was really worried. I didn't want to vlog any part of it. I just wanted to just make it through the first trimester and beyond, to a point where I felt comfortable enough to vlog my pregnancy, you know, share my pregnancy with you guys, share my experience with you guys, you know, from the point of when I announced my pregnancy to the end of my pregnancy. Obviously I wanted to vlog my labour, didn't get to because everything happened so quickly, you know, whatnot, and my experiences after, you know. But that is my story. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please give us a big thumbs up for the video. I thank you guys for the ones that shared and followed me on my journey, you know, throughout my pregnancy, you know, to the end of my pregnancy, and even still till now, so after my pregnancy, still sharing my experience with you guys and whatnot. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys joining me on the journey, and thank you guys. And I really appreciate you guys. So, for now, until next time, I'm out.
See you soon,